And welcome once again to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from Northwest Community Television. It's time once again for an update of the most recent council meeting and also a look of what's new in 2013 in the city of Maple Grove. That's all next for you on the Maple Grove City Report. Thank you again for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report. And as you see, Al Madsen, City Administrator for Maple Grove, joining us. Welcome again, Al. Happy New Year.
Yeah, same to you.
We have a lot to talk about today. Not so much from the council meeting, which was about a half hour in length, a lot of the official business of the beginning of the year, but a number of things happening around town to keep you up to date on. And the first is a road project that, Al, I think we've talked about this for a couple years.
Oh, yes, we have.
Give a few more than that, but something very nice has happened. Tell us about that.
The Bass Lake Road project has been recognized by the City Engineers Association of Minnesota as the #1 outstanding project of the year. So, and that covers the entire state. And so there's a lot of competition, and so the Bass Lake Road, yes, it's been on our agenda
right.
numerous times over the years, and so we're very pleased that the association has selected the Bass Lake Road project as the #1 project of the year. So
and
very
is
happy.
that for the entire project, for the last leg that was done in this last year? How do they view that, and what is some of the criteria, do you know, of how they judge that and how you win an award like this?
Well, it's for the entire project, but the emphasis really was certainly on the last leg of it because that had some unique features.
Right.
And so how they judge it is how well, you know, the local unit of government works with any residents are impacted by it, because there had to be some homes that had to be moved, and so that was key. Timing of the project, obviously how many complaints came in, how many did not come in, and so there's a wide range of things. And then also how well it was handled under construction, because, you know, we did that project, the last link, under construction, or excuse me, traffic was still going while we were building.
And that is a busy road.
It is. It's a very busy road, and so they take a look at, okay, now how well was it handled, the construction handled, because traffic was still flowing on it. And so we were building it under traffic, and so that was a big part of it, as to how well did that happen. And the design was a big part of it, and again, how did we impact wetlands, how did we impact residents that, you know, were certainly, some residents had to have their homes, you know, relocated, so there was an acquisition of some property along there. So it's a long project, but it's nice that to be recognized.
Yes.
It certainly is.
Well, congratulations to the city and the departments that were involved in that process. As we mentioned, it is the start of 2013 as we tape this program, so you've got a few things number-wise for us to look ahead to, and also a few things from last year. Give us kind of the number update as we start the new year on some things you've got.
Well, last year, I think 2012 will probably end up with about 225 single-family building permits. That was kind of a little bit of a spurt. There always seems to be, like in the late fall, there's always just a little bit of spurt of building permits. And so we'll probably end around 225. I think next year will be a bigger year for us because, I should say next year, this year, 2013 will be a bigger year for us because we have a couple of large apartment complexes. The Duffy project, and then the Sky Arbor Lakes, and Silvercrest, probably sometime summer or early fall of 2013, Silvercrest will start their development as well. So we'll see those numbers start to move upward. We're also seeing a faster turnover of foreclosure properties. We're at about 200 right now, and so we're finding that more and more of the foreclosure properties are being picked up by new buyers, and the banks are moving them faster to get them off their books. And so we'll see, I think, a continued good activity there. Business-wise, we had a number of businesses that did open in Maple Grove, and we did approve a 120,000 square feet expansion for Upshur Smith. It's a very sizable expansion. They will start in 2013. We have a company that is looking at 35 acres of industrial land for a very large industrial project. And I think that we probably, I'm thinking that in the first quarter of this year, we will know if that's going to move forward or not. And that'll be a several 100,000 square feet. So that'll be a very large project. We get the retail that, that comes in, some leave and some comes in. We issued a permit for Whole Foods.
That'll make some people excited.
It really will. I've never been in one, but yes, my daughter loves it. So we issued a permit for that, so they are working on the inside of the building, and they'll probably do some facelifting, I think, on the outside. And Redstone Grill opened their restaurant. We have a number of I think, very strong prospects for the empty space that's in some of the areas of the shops and the fountains. It's always interesting that we do have some vacancy, but it really doesn't take that long for it to be gobbled up by somebody else because there's always lots of users out there that are looking for available space. So I think 2012 was a good year for us. We handled our budget very, very well. We became the number 22 on the list of 100 best cities in America to live, which is a great award. Our AAA bond rating was reaffirmed by Standard & Poor's and Moody's. And I believe that we may be one of only 8 that both rating agencies, Standard & Poor's and Moody's, reaffirmed a AAA. So we're in very good company.
Yes.
So 2012 was a good year, and I think 2013, there's some good hot spots out there that I think are going to be really, really pleasing to our residents.
And we'll be here to keep you up to date
Yes,
on that. A few other numbers from 2012. How about fire calls? You have a little information about that.
We had less than 900 this year, and now that sounds like a huge number, but the vast majority of those are false alarms. There's a malfunctioning, smoke detector or fire alarm, or someone, inadvertently sets off their security system in their home, things like that. So of the 900 calls, I'm thinking probably about 85 to 90% of those were non-fire related, false alarms and things like that. So, we had a good year, I think, for that too. So, fire department they added a few extra volunteer firefighters. I think, if I remember right, I think we are adding about 10 more volunteers, which is nice because it's kind of tough to get volunteer firefighters because, well, they get paid, when they go to a fire, but they're on call, and so it depends on the type of job they have and where they're located, and trying to find people to manage 5 fire stations too can be difficult. So.
Right, understand.
So
value growth. Tell us about a percentage of 1.1. What exactly does that mean to the residents of Maple Grove?
Well, I think you take 1.1% times your current value, and that's probably what you're going to see your value. 13 for taxes payable and 14. So we're starting to see values starting to edge up now versus the other way down. And so we're happy with that. Of course, if you're selling your home, you're going to be happy that the values are going up.
Exactly.
And so we're looking at about a 1.1%. We're looking at a slight decline in industrial, about a 0.5% decline in industrial value, which is not too bad. But it's the residential portion that we're happy now it's starting to see, and the residents certainly are too, starting to see the values of their property moving upward ever so slowly.
Right.
But moving upward.
Be patient out there. We talked about the fire department. Let's talk about police a little bit and violent crime. You have some numbers as well related to that.
Violent crime is down 35%, which is very, very good. I believe the national average is about 18 or 19% down for violent crime. We're at 35%, so we're very pleased with that. We've had an increase in shoplifting. That seems to go hand in hand with retail. When a lot of retail comes into town, shoplifting seems to rear its ugly head, and so we've had an increase in shoplifting. We've had a very small increase in domestic, which is good because typically, historically, when the economy is in very difficult stages, the domestic violence tends to move upward. The domestic crime moves upward, and ours it moved up a little bit, but not much. And so we're pleased that that didn't really move up any further. So.
Right. I know there was a pill in the last few months of 2012 for people to close garage doors and not keep valuables in cars. Any update on that? Has there been a turnaround in that trend of not having that problem as much?
We are seeing a turnaround, and I think a lot of that has to do with education. Part of it is, what Cable 12 has been doing, helping us with the promotion of keep your garage doors shut, and you got your car out in the driveway, make sure it's locked. Don't have your laptops and iPhones and everything sitting right there with a little sign on it that says, "Take me, please." So we are seeing a stabilization of that, and we have also made a number of arrests. We made a couple of arrests that led to a multiple number of break-ins, either vehicles or homes. And so not just our community, but some communities around us. So there was a group of folks that were out there active in other communities. So I do not believe, I think in the area of catalytic converters, which in the past we've had a number of those stolen from our transit station, I don't think we had one at all in 2012. We did have an individual, or it could be a group of individuals, that we caught on tape. That's the beauty part of the cameras at our transit station. Not only security for the users of our transit station, but for us. There was an individual that was going into our transit station with the yellow vest on and had a big pipe wrench and was loosening standpipe covers, and then later would come back in a white truck and steal the standpipe covers. Now, I never gave thought much to that, but I was told that they probably go for about $75 to $100 each on eBay, and so nothing is safe anymore. Yes, it is. But we have the individual on tape, and so we're glad that we've got cameras there.
All right, very good.
But
well, we've got
overall, I think the community is very stable, and crime is, I would say, the what I call serious crime, domestic abuse, violent crime. That's down. Shoplifting, it's up. But if you take a look at the amount of retail space that we have in Maple Grove, I would say that the shoplifting is low compared to the amount of retail space we have. So.
All right, we'll keep you up to date on some of that information as we move through the year. A couple other things to get to, and then we'll get to that first council meeting of the year. Any other items happening in town to update the residents on?
Whirly Ball is going to open. I'm sure you and your crew are going to be there.
Oh, we'll give it a try. Why not?
Might as well. That'll open probably in March. And it's an interesting concept, and so it's something that's built around teamwork. And you get on the bumper cars, what I call bumper cars on steroids, and you got this little Nerf ball, and you try to get it. You're opposing teams, and you try to get it in each other's net. And I've never tried it. I have talked to some that have, and they say it's fantastic. They absolutely love it. So
and that goes into the old Mann movie theater location.
Yes, the former Mann movie theater was renovated, and that's where Whirly Ball will be. And then Goodwill is under construction, right on that same area right there. So, and that Goodwill, I would think, is probably going to be opening. I'm thinking maybe late spring or very early summer. So that's moving along well. Inspire Federal Credit Union, which is out in the Dunkirk area by Menards and McDonald's and Holiday out there. We have issued their certificate of occupancy, and so that building looks very nice.
Okay.
They have some landscaping and things to do like that, that's going to have to wait till spring. But the building looks very nice, and so we're happy to have that facility there as well.
Okay. Good. So a lot of activity as usual in the city of Maple Grove. Let's get to that council meeting, which again, the first one of the year is usually a little bit of a shorter meeting, and it was that case. But a lot of official business has to be done at that meeting.
It does. First of all, we need to swear in the newly elected council members, and so Councilmember Leanne Sargent and Councilmember Eric Johnson, they were sworn in by the mayor. And then we had Girl Scout Troop 12773 that presented the colors, did a wonderful job. And then Pastor Christine Childs, who's with the Maple Grove Lutheran Church, she gave the invocation. Very impressive. And she gave a little bit of a story prior to the invocation that she came from the public sector prior to going into the church business, so to speak. She was in the public sector business and was working for the city of Dallas for a number of years.
Okay.
And so she kind of related, as to, she knows what some of us are going through and, dealing with different projects. And so it was nice to hear her perspective of things.
Very interesting.
And then how she's tied it into, her second career as a pastor. So she did a wonderful job. She was very impressive, very articulate. And so she did a very, very nice job. And then the mayor and the city council, as they do at the first meeting of every year, they take some time just to reflect on 2012 and then as well as 2013. And so each one of them did that and thanked the staff and then talked about different projects that did become a reality in 12 and that other those that will be coming up in 13. So it's always nice for the mayor and the council to express their thoughts of a year gone by and then what they are looking forward to in 13. So
Right. Very
that was
good.
it. First meeting of the year is always, you got the typical stuff, the official newspaper and the official bank and appointments to boards and commissions, and then also appointments for liaisons, because the mayor and the city council also act as liaisons to a variety of boards and commissions.
Right.
And so typically we rotate that about every couple of years. So it's, every council member gets, to serve on at least one or more of the various boards and commissions at a certain point. And so we went through that process. So that was all on consent. I didn't know if maybe any council members were going to change their mind and decide I'd rather be on this one and not on this one.
Right.
But they all stayed the same as previous years.
While you mentioned that, just a quick question as we start the year, and again, a few council people that were re-elected. People oftentimes have a misconception about the work that goes in for a council person or a mayor. Just how busy are these people? How many times do you see them, talk to them? It's not just a couple meetings a month. Is that correct?
Oh, you're absolutely right. It is not. Over the years, I've been surprised when candidates are running for an office and they'll meet with me, and they seem to think it's just 2 meetings a month. Well, what's the big deal? I can handle that. You got to understand, though, that they're liaison to lots of boards and commissions, plus they're also involved in other organizations. Councilmember Leith is a part of, the Northwest Cable Commission, and the mayor and I are part of the 610 Crossing Coalition. So there's other organizations outside of the city, yes, that they are part of. And so, I converse with the council, not all of them every day, but probably at least 1 or 2 of them every day. And I converse with them several times during the week with emails, just to send them a note on something, not asking for their position, but just to say here's an update. And so I do that, but I think it's a misconception, I think, and probably not just with our council positions, but elected officials that, gosh, all they do is attend a couple of meetings.
Right.
Hey, no problem.
Right. Easy process,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And
but
maybe just a little reading. Do you like to send them something like this every couple weeks?
Right. Absolutely. And I think it's a good eye opener for those that are thinking about running for council. But it demands a lot of time, and as we continue to grow, it demands a lot more time. And so, if it was just maybe serving as a liaison, let's say to the Arbor Committee or the Citizens Advisory Committee or something like that, but it's these outside organizations that we also have to have representation as well. And so it's a demanding job, and I, the mayor especially, puts in many hours a week just on mayoral activities for the city, and the rest of the council members do too. So there's always meetings for them to attend. There's ground bakings, there's ribbon cuttings. There's just special events that it's important for them to be at. So,
and then certainly the other part of the puzzle is the contact from the residents.
Yes.
And especially in the city
Big
of Maple
part.
Grove, they're all at large, if you will, representing the whole city. So my guess would be their phone might ring a few times from residents.
it does, yes.
And
yes.
have to answer a little email.
Right, and they get a lot of emails too, no doubt about that. And so Yeah, that's a big part of it because the residents do communicate with their elected officials, which is good.
Right.
Typically, what we try to do is before anything becomes an issue, it'll be forwarded to staff, and then staff will do the necessary research. We'll do whatever needs to be done and get the information back to the elected official so they can then get back to the residents. So we try to nip things in the bud before it does become a problem. I can remember when, I think it was the first year that Councilmember Jaeger was on, and she's in her third term now, and she came in to see me and she said, "Nobody's calling me. My phone's not ringing. None of the residents are calling me." And I said, "That's a good sign."
That's right.
That's a very good
what we
sign.
want.
That's a very good sign. That's what we want, because I said typically if we want to try to nip things in the bud before it gets to an elected official.
Right.
Sometimes folks, they can certainly go right to the elected official and not go to staff first. That's not a problem. And then it ends with us. We do the necessary research and then we get the information back to the elected official. So.
Very interesting. All right, a little primer on the life of a council member and a mayor.
Right.
A couple other things at the meeting?
We just did a couple of minor adjustments. State law allows the deputy city clerk to sign documents in the absence of the city clerk. And I'm the city clerk as well as the city administrator. Our code itself didn't really spell that out. Now, it didn't have to because state law spells it out. But I was just more comfortable having it spelled out in our code as well as the state law.
Okay.
Same for the acting mayor. We do not have a deputy mayor. And so we have an acting mayor. If the mayor is not going to be at a meeting, it's the council member with the longest seniority that then becomes acting mayor for that meeting.
Okay.
State statute again allows acting mayors to sign documents in absence of the mayor. Our code didn't spell that out, but again, I just wanted to be more comfortable to have just clear language in our code itself, so someone didn't have to try to spend hours going through a state statute to figure it out. So that was just a little housekeeping, couple of housekeeping things. So just a couple of minor details. So, and then we swore in the Housing and Redevelopment Authority commissioners for another term, and the mayor is chair. And Councilmember Sargent is the vice chair. Councilmember Johnson is secretary, and then I am the executive director of our HRA. And
in a nutshell, what does that mean? What does that group actually do? It's called other things in other cities. Right.
Well, the Housing Redevelopment Authority deals strictly with housing issues. So, for example, if someone wanted to do a housing revenue bond, for example, for a multifamily housing project, affordable, non-affordable, that goes through the HRA, that goes through the Housing Redevelopment Authority. And then myself as the executive director and staff that we have in the Community Development Department, Ginny and Dick Edwards, they work on it as well. And so we do all the necessary paperwork, the research and everything like that. Everything is then provided to the HRA, which is the council, but they sit with a different hat on. And they look at it from the standpoint of a HRA commissioner, not as a city council member.
Right.
And so then we provide all that to them. So they have a dual role. So there's another example where they have added duties beyond just being a city council member. Because the HRA, it's been quiet for the last few years, but a number of years back, our HRA was extremely active in lots of different meetings, and so the council, had to be at those as the HRA commissioners.
Okay.
So,
very good.
So it's a, like I said, we do these the first meeting of the month. We do these normal appointments and things of that nature, and so the meeting was 32 years, yeah, 32 minutes long.
There we
go. Yeah, there we go. And also Hennepin County Commissioner Jeff Johnson came and just gave an update as a county commissioner on 2012, and then talked about some activities in 2013 and how we as a city can partner with the county on a variety of things, and we do. Our IS department and our GIS department works very carefully with Hennepin County on lots of different projects, and so there's a good interaction and a good working relationship there. So. So he gave a nice presentation, and the council appreciated him stopping by, and so We set a special council meeting for January 22nd at 6 p.m. We will have our legislators that will be there to give the council kind of their thoughts on maybe 2012, but more so on the new session, the 2013 session. So that'll be at 6 p.m. and that'll be in the mayor's conference room. And I'll probably have a few other things that I'll update the council on. Not looking for direction, but just saying, this may be coming up, this may be coming up.
Exactly.
But it's a special meeting. The public is certainly invited to attend, and it's really aimed at having our state senator and our 2 representatives attend to give us their views on the 2013 session and how it might impact the city of Maple Grove. So.
Right. And again, you said that's on the 22nd.
22nd,
and that'll be the same
6
day
p.m.
as the council meeting because of the Martin Luther King holiday.
Right.
So it'll move to the Tuesday.
Correct.
Final minute, just a question about Commissioner Johnson. Did he mention anything about the Bottineau Transitway, maybe for residents of Maple Grove? And it was very loud and an issue to be talked about for quite some time.
It was.
And then it went quiet for quite some time.
Right.
Update on that? What is the latest?
Well, the latest is, he did not mention that, but the latest is they have opted to take the route, the transit route that heads to Brooklyn Park and the Target area. Now, I don't think that there were 2 routes, A and B. I don't think the route coming to Maple Grove is totally out of the question.
Okay.
My view has always been that should still be an option, and I think it's still an option, but the primary focus, and I think the main approval has been for the route that goes to Brooklyn Park, then and the Target campus.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, I think we may still see some activity coming toward us. So,
what is the time frame? Where is it now in discussion? Which body is it in right now, or can we tell?
Well, I think it all comes down to funding. They've made the decision that they're going to go with the route to Brooklyn Park. Now they're working with the legislature to try to get state funding, and they're working with hopefully the federal government to try to get federal funding. It's a relatively expensive thing to do. Mm-hmm. So the approvals have been granted, so now they're doing the lobbying with the legislature now to try to get funding to at least start part of it. So.
Okay. Another item to keep you up to date on throughout
Absolutely.
the year. Al, thanks again for your time.
Thank you,
We'll
Dave.
talk to you again soon. Let's look at the next council meeting date. It is, as we mentioned, on Tuesday the 22nd due to the holiday, 7:30 at the Government Center. Phone number to the Government Center there at the bottom of the screen and the website on top. All the information you might need about some of the items we talked about today, and also a look at some of the events that might be coming up in the city of Maple Grove. And if you have questions or comments for the program, 533-1710. Our viewer response line. For Al Madsen, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.